What's up, everybody? Welcome to the live stream. As you can see, I'm joined by a lovely co-host here, George the Italiano. We figured we'd do a little afternoon live stream because George couldn't make it on the last theme Parkin, and then we were maybe going to do it later tonight, and then it was going to end up being maybe close to midnight. And I was like, I'm going to fall asleep on a live stream if I do that. And then we both had time this afternoon, so we're like, hey, let's just go live right now. I have no idea if anybody's around, but we're going to have a good time either way. But like I said, I'm joined by George the Italiano from Hollow Gelato, which I'm remembering how to say that. So, George, thank you for being here. And where can everybody find you if they want to go find all your sticky news you have?
Absolutely. And again, Jared, thank you so much for having me on. It's always a good time doing theme parking with you guys. And if anyone would like to find me, you could do so on YouTube at Hollow Gelato, where Abby and I have the scoops on all things theme parks, Disney, Universal, Disney Cruise Line, Knott's Berry Farm, all that good stuff. And you could also find us on Instagram under Hollow Gelato as well.
Good stuff. I like one thing I do like is how it's you and Abby a lot more featured now, because my wife and I, like when we started, it's my wife and I on the podcast side. So this side is mostly me. She hops on live streams every now and then, but it's fun. Like when you have, somebody you can do that stuff with that you like. Everyone's always like, you work with your wife all the time. I'm like, yeah, I like my wife. Like it's not bad. Like,
yeah,
it makes it kind of fun.
It's the dynamic duo,
Yeah.
It's, and what's funny is she is like, she wasn't into like she loved watching me like go on like live streams and do like in-park content and stuff, but she always said, don't put the camera on me, that's like not my thing. And and I just kind of like slowly integrated, like, how about just one time, just try it with me. And but now it seems like she's like ready. She's like, are we going to record something, or are we going to do something? And it's like,
yeah, yes. She's good at it. Yeah. Well, my wife's the same way. She's very introverted. And so when we started our podcast, it literally was, we had like, I forget how it even started. Because I think I used to watch the Diz back in the day with Pete Warner and those guys. And I was like, hey, let's go and do a podcast. And she was like, really? And I was like, she's like, when? I'm like, next week. I bought the equipment. And she was like, what? And so she was kind of the same way, but now like she's very introverted, but she's very good on live streams. And like, she's the type of person. This happened at Universal. We went to the Universal pass holder night last year, and there was to meet the Frank the Pug over by Men in Black, and he hadn't come out yet. There's this long line. I was like, I'm gonna go do something. So I go walk around, and so she calls me. She's like, hey, he's back here. So come back. So I come back, and she has a group of like 15 people around her, and they've all they created a little crew. And I was like, well, and I walk in, and they're all like, hey, it's Jared. I'm like, who are these people? And like, it always happens if we're in line, people will just ask her questions and start talking to her. It's just funny because she's naturally not really outgoing, but she's always the one that like ends up with people always around her and like being super friendly. I'm like, I guess I have a face of like, don't talk to me, but I don't know. But yeah, it's funny how that happens. And then like you go on a live stream and she's fine, but
yeah. And that's what happens with Abby. Like I could be doing a live stream and I could have a decent amount of people. Then the second she comes home from work, or she'll sit right next to me, boom, like 20 more people will show up. I'll be like, what the hell? Like, I mean, good for her, but I'm like,
you're like, wait a minute.
Like, okay.
You're like, is it me? I thought I was doing good. We'll say out of the chat real quick. The Real Venture says hello, and also ask, are you for Comcast buying WB or against it? We're going to talk about that. That's one of the things we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about Comcast apparently is in the running to buy Warner Brothers, which I'm going to be completely wrong on that if that ends up happening, but wouldn't be the first time. Then we're also going to talk about Universal Kids Resort, because that got released yesterday, and I'm curious what George's thoughts are on that. And there was some stuff in my video yesterday, some details in the lands that I actually did not see when I did my video, so I have more info there. And then we potentially could have Disney showing their hand a bit about the Disney CEO search. Maybe. We'll see. Somebody was hired in a very interesting position. And then if we have time for I think this would be really funny. I did a video on this, but this new $200 Santa dinner. I want to read the menu to George and like the description, just because it's so insane. And what's funny is that thing is like, some people are going to hear that and they're going to be like, yeah, I'm on board. And for like 95% of everybody else are going to be like, what is this? Like, it's just a very niche audience, but that should be a good time. But that is what we're going to do today. So we're going to hop right in to this story. And Orange Grove, what's up, Orange Grove? Oh, he's saying hi to Real Ventures. Yeah, Orange Grove popped in real quick.
Yeah.
And I was like, is Orange Grove gonna be on here? But he's working at the moment.
Yeah,
he
says hi to Real Ventures. We're chopped liver to him.
Yeah, that's fine. I get it. Whatever, OG. All right, so this is from Cord Cutters, and it says Comcast eyes buying Warner Brothers Discovery and merging Peacock with HBO Max. We're not going to read the whole article here, but it says in a seismic shift that could reshape the fractured landscape of the streaming wars, Comcast is considering its options to acquire Warner Brothers. Discovery is paving the way for a blockbuster merger between Peacock and HBO Max, according to a report from the New York Post. This potential deal, whispered through the corridors of Hollywood's power brokers, had sent ripples of anxiety through rival suitors, particularly Skydance Media, who had positioned itself as a frontrunner in in the race for Warner Brothers Discovery assets. The prospect of Comcast involvement underscores the relentless consolidation gripping the entertainment sector, where legacy cable behemoths and tech-savvy newcomers alike scramble to consolidate audiences and combat subscriber fatigue. Let's see if I have any more on here, basically. So basically, they have a whole thing here, but Warner Brothers was looking like Paramount made a move for them, or made an offer. And then last I had heard, Warner Brothers basically declined it, saying it wasn't enough. There's a lot of people, especially in the theme park side, they were like, man, we love Comcast to make a move for this because obviously theme park IPs and everything like that. I had said I didn't think it would be something they would do due to the fact of how much money they're investing in the parks, and also the potential of would this type of merger be approved by the government, considering that Comcast is much larger than Paramount. And so if they buy Warner Brothers, that's obviously going to make them bigger. But that may not be a worry. That was just something I brought up. So on this, what are your thoughts on Comcast potentially buying Warner Brothers? Are you for it? What do you think about it?
So I think if Comcast does decide to put in a bid, I think, and Warner would accept, I think that would be the best for both companies in the long run. I do understand like what you're saying as far as like with, is this going to be Comcast's move right now? Because they are investing in the parks and what have you. But I think in the long-term goal, I feel like the Warner Brothers catalog can do wonders for Universal in many different ways. They can add more IP to the parks in time. Never knowing what is to be of with Harry Potter, because essentially it's a Warner Brothers property. They're basically leasing it out, that any hiccup, J.K. Rowling or Warner can say, you know what, we don't want it in the Universal parks anymore, and Universal is screwed. Especially with the new streaming series that's coming out with Potter. And I don't know if Universal's willing to take that risk, but also it gets Warner Brothers out of the ashes as well, because as a company, they haven't been doing so very hot. So I think they definitely need some help to a degree. I personally, when I heard that Paramount was putting in a bid, I didn't really see how that was going to happen. And I think obviously Warner Brothers saw it as well. But correct me if I'm wrong, didn't Comcast put in a bid not recently, but prior, and Warner Brothers declined them?
I remember reading something, either, I don't know if it was an official bid. I think they had discussions at one point. And what's interesting, like you bring up Paramount, the only reason I thought Paramount, and obviously it still could happen, is they now have the Ellisons are running it, and they have all that. I mean, they've got a ton of money behind them. I kind of still wonder if they don't really try and push more money in. But everything you said, I completely agree. I think I wonder how much of it is potentially Harry Potter, in that, like, obviously they would get control of that. Obviously, Peacock. And this is a move too. You could look at a lot to do with streaming. And then also the other benefit is the theme parks, and that Peacock is definitely not doing great. I mean, in terms of the other streamers, they're way down there. They also lost the WWE to Netflix, which is one of the big things that they had going for them. Then you had Paramount Plus getting the rights for UFC. And so a lot of these other streamers are making lots of moves, and Peacock's is kind of sitting on the outside. So if they were to be able to grab HBO Max, I mean, I don't know exactly where it would put them, but it would put them much higher than they are now. I think HBO Max has, I don't know how many subscribers they have, but it's quite a bit. I mean, HBO Max is a well-established streamer or all the shows they've had on there. So I think it'd make a lot of sense. Now, I had said all along, given how, like, would this be approved by the government? But I would also assume if they're making a move, or if they're really talking about this, they would feel that they could get this approved. I think that would be the only issue you would have. Obviously, I think they could finance the money to do it, and it wouldn't affect anything they're doing in the theme parks. But I mean, in terms of the IPs for the theme parks, I mean, Brian in the chat said it best: turning Islands of Adventure into Gotham City.
Well, I'm glad you actually said that, because I was going to have you bring that up. And actually, and Brian, what's funny is I was watching a YouTube video. I forget who was covering it, but essentially when they were, creating the initial concept for IOA, DC was their first choice before Marvel, because Marvel at that point was not doing so hot in a sense. So, I mean, Universal took a huge risk on Marvel at that point. But they essentially wanted DC, and the original concept was to split the land in half. That was going to be half Superman, half Batman's Gotham City. And that's essentially what it was going to be. And they just couldn't come to terms of an agreement, and they just moved on, and they thought, well, what's the next? They wanted something with superheroes. They wanted something, so they took the gamble for Marvel, which obviously it was successful at the time. But now I feel like, with Disney owning so much of Marvel and Universal, they're both kind of like in a pigeonhole, because Universal can't touch anything new for Marvel,
right?
And Disney can't do anything east of the Mississippi River. So they're both contracting off of one another. So in time, I think if they really were to do this merger, they can maybe go back to their original concept and turn Marvel Superhero Island into a DC environment.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting, is I've contended for a long time. Every once in a while, you'll see, Universal's looking at something to do with Marvel Superhero Island. I've always said, unless they have an idea that they're just like, this is a no-brainer, that we're essentially losing money not doing this, or Disney backs up the Brinks truck to pay for the rights for it, that it's just going to stay. Because the other thing too is they can't do anything else with the land, because that would require approval from Marvel, which Disney owns, and they're not going to be like, yeah, let's expand this area. Like, not that they couldn't, but they're just not going to play ball on that level.
Right. But then they would also have to strike a deal with Six Flags, because Six Flags utilizes
they
DC.
do. Although I feel like Six Flags is not doing great. Like the rate in which they're adding debt, I feel like you could.
But do you think all the more that they wouldn't release that then? Like the one thing that they do have on their side, like between that and the Looney Tunes, it's like, do you think they would give that up very easily?
If it was me, if I was running Universal, and let's say that this deal, like I was told, like, hey, we're looking at getting WB, figure something out, I would essentially try and see whatever Disney's willing to pay for the Marvel rights, which I would assume it's not as much as it was, say, 5 years ago. You take that money, and then you got a pile of cash, and you just approach Six Flags with some deal and just see what it would take. Because there's a price. And Six Flags, I mean, you could definitely get it. And I think Universal, you could even overpay for it. And they would utilize it much better than Six Flags. Because it's not even really, it's not like the Six Flags parks are just, people are just beating down the hatches to go there because of the DC stuff. Yeah. So I feel like if they were smart about it and just where they're currently at, like they would be willing to sell it. Because it's not like they have themed land either. It's just like these rides that have this overlay, which you could change.
True.
So that's what I would do. I would just take that money from Disney and maybe make some sort of deal, like contingent upon, hey, if we can get Six Flags to play ball, everybody gets what they want here. Six Flags gets cash. You guys get Marvel. We get to do what we want with DC. And in that scenario, like I could see him doing it, because DC land would be awesome.
Well, and the funny thing about this is, now this is a hot take, so I might ruffle some feathers with this, but hey, I'm the Italiano, so buckle in, keep your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the vehicle at all times here. This is why I have a problem with companies leasing out IP from other companies, because I feel like this is where you get in a tangled web, where DC is in Six Flags. It would do better in Universal to replace Marvel. That really should be in Disney. It's like it's just like a mixture of all things where you have to like unkink one side to get the other, sort of like a Rubik's cube, sort
Mhm.
of. Now, when I say that, and it's like, well, Wizarding World is a licensed out of Universal, and it does wonders, absolutely. But again, my concern is for how long. Any little hiccup can throw anything out at any time, and that's why I feel Warner Brothers Discovery, anything under that umbrella, that if Comcast was to go for it, they should go for the whole thing. And then that's where there's not too much confusion as to which IPs belong where. And because I feel like if this merger was to happen, it would be on the same level of Disney purchasing Fox. Now, no, I'm not saying it would be the 7.1 billion, but I think as far as history in the making of one company buying out another, I think it would be on that same level.
I actually think potentially it would be a bigger impact for Comcast than buying Fox was for Disney
Oh,
in terms of
absolutely.
in
Oh,
terms
yeah.
of what it would do. Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, we're seeing it play out too, where I mean, they make these third-party licensing deals. At the time, The Simpsons were owned by Fox. All of a sudden, Disney owns it. Now you've got an issue there, which I don't think Universal really wants to keep using The Simpsons long term. So it's probably pretty amicable at some point that Disney takes back The Simpsons rights and Universal does something else. But you're not wrong. I mean, there does bring into other issues down the road of things, especially in this environment of like, this also speaks to the consolidation of Hollywood, which is going to be continuing because this is really the only route that they have with the shrinking market. So a lot more of these are going to get bought up by other people, and those licensing rights get kind of messy at some point. And I'm not, and I agree with you. Like if it's there to do it, and maybe Comcast looks at it that way of like, hey, here's our opportunity to. Wizarding World has been huge for us. There's tons of IP associated with Warner Brothers that you could utilize, revive. I mean, I don't think Warner Brothers has done a great thing with the DC movie franchises. I was not a fan of the new Superman movie. I know if they got it, I don't know if they changed anything, but Warner Brothers was on top of the world in the early 2000s. They had like the Nolan Batman, they had Lord of the Rings, they had Harry Potter, and then since then it's just been a string of bad decisions that has put them in massive debt, but they still have a ton of value given it's one of the oldest movie studios, in existence. So I do think if you're Comcast and you have the chance to do it, it makes sense, especially given, the cable stuff shrinking. That's why they're going really heavy into the theme parks, because that's a new revenue stream. So it's a move that makes sense. I'm as big as Comcast is, and like Disney and those companies, like they can take on those debt loads and service that debt. I don't think that's as much as the issue. I would just point to like, would it get approved would probably be the biggest hurdle you would have, I would assume, but I don't know how much of a hurdle that would be. That's just talking, just again, I don't know the exact numbers there, but it's just me off the top of my head. But yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense. And there's what you've got DC, you got Looney Tunes, you've got Lord of the Rings? Is that owned by them? The rights for that? Yeah. And X
Yeah.
Boot says easier to get the Lord of the Rings in the parks, also not having to pay the massive licensing fees to WB anymore. JK would still, JK Rowling would still get her cut undoubtedly. And yeah, I do think you could buy off Six Flags. I think that'd be the least of your worries. Like if you can go to the point where you get this approved, you pay for this, I think Six Flags, like you can work that out.
Probably, yeah, and I'm for sure. Honestly, there's some chatter within the company itself of Comcast, because if all these third party, articles are popping up, suggesting that Comcast may be eyeing for Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers Discovery and everything, there has to be some internal talk that there isn't at least some strategy, especially since they turned on Paramount, which now really the only thing that would be kind of standing in Comcast's way would possibly be Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix, I think, or you always have like Apple too, or Amazon. I mean, those companies have tons of money. I'm not going to be surprised if it ends up in a bidding war, to be quite honest, because like I think Netflix has got to be eyeing that, and they've got a bunch of cash at their disposal. Apple is interesting because they're they're losing money on their stuff, but they seem committed to wanting to do more movies and shows and things like that. That would be a huge boost to them to be able to get that library, what they would do with it. Yeah, I think it's I like I said, I said the whole time I didn't see Comcast getting involved in it, but I know clearly it seems like they are. The Real Interest says, if Comcast buys WB, would they still allow the planned Harry Potter attraction that's being made outside the U.S.? I forgot where exactly to be made. I don't know. Yeah, that's the thing, too. It's like a lot of that depends on the contracts and the stipulations inside those contracts. Sometimes there's clauses in there that you have an out for different reasons and may change in ownership or something. But
even with Lord of the Rings, even with being owned by WB, but I still think it still is partially owned by the Tolkien family.
Yes. I believe. Yeah, they do have. Yeah, it's they do have a stake in it. I don't know how much, but I know they have a stake in it.
Because I thought that was one of the reasons why actually Lord of the Rings has not been leased out. I think for any theme parks thus far. I think
for the longest time it was because it was run by his son, and then his son passed away, and now like you have the extended family, and that's the reason they sold those rights to Amazon for the Silmarillion and things like that. They were much more willing to make more deals than previously because Tolkien was not really big on major corporations using his IPs and things like, you know, but as time has gone on, that's changed. And the other thing too is to be interesting. This would also be if Comcast got this, they would take a little damage to Amazon because Amazon has the Lord of the Rings show that's not very good, but that would keep it out of their hands. And then, I mean, there's still so many things you could do with the Lord of the Rings. I mean, that is probably the best trilogy ever. And it's just nothing's really been done with it since its original release, other than re-releases sometimes.
I mean, every person has their own, you know, point of view on how they would want like their, you know, their creation or IP or their story that they create. Me personally, I would kill for someone to use, you know, something of me because they could just call it the Italiano's chest hair raising coaster.
There's a lot of things you could do. Hey, listen, you're getting money off of it. Hey, I'm the same way. I mean, if it's flattering to me, I'm in. But I also didn't create Lord of the Rings, I guess. Maybe it's also a different time. Like back then, it's a much more different mindset. That's also why too when it gets to like what would Walt Disney do, and it's like who knows because it was just such a different time period. But
that's really true because when you look at a lot of these IPs, even Harry Potter. You look at Harry Potter, you look at Lord of the Rings, if they were literally just starting them today, the format would be looking very different than what they were. So I feel like those films came out at the appropriate time that makes them more timeless. Because I feel like in today's time, and no offense to the creatives in the industry today, but I don't know. I just feel like that they would kind of butcher it.
Oh, listen, take all offense to the creators today, or a lot of them. I think a lot of the stuff today is more disposable. I don't like if you think about in the 90s, how many bangers came out like in a single year. You'd have like 6 or 7 movies that are classics. And now it's like you have a handful over the past 10 years even that you would consider
even like a movie, and even a movie that would come out that would do very well at the box office. It seems like once it leaves that theater, once it ends its hype, it's forgotten about.
Yeah.
It's rarely ever talked about.
I mean, I'd probably say the most recent one that has a little more lasting power would be like Endgame. Like those movies have kind of had their little more of a cultural impact, you could say. But Brian here also said, I feel like Disney would come in and make Comcast pay more for Warner Brothers like Comcast made Disney pay for Fox. The only thing is, I don't think Disney's in a position to really do that at this point. They have, I mean, not that they wouldn't or couldn't maybe, but I don't think, well, first off, I don't think they would let Disney buy up another studio. Like if anybody's not going to get it approved, I don't think Disney buying 20th Century Fox and also Warner Brothers would be anything that would be like allowed, like regulation wise, if I were to guess. So if there's question marks about Comcast, there would be bigger question marks about Disney in that scenario. But I'm sure they would like to, because Comcast made Disney pay a little extra money.
Do you think Disney would enter the bidding war just to raise the price, knowing that they very well don't want it nor need it? But do you think that they would just come in just to spike up the?
They could, although I think it could be spiked up regardless of them with Netflix. and the other player. I really think it could end up being a very interesting little bidding war. And I don't think have any numbers been released about any of these offers.
I haven't seen any actual like numbers.
I haven't either. I'd be very curious because obviously Disney paid like 72 billion for 20th Century Fox. I'm very curious what Warner Brothers is eyeing for to do this. And let's be honest, Warner Brothers, ever since Zaslav came on, they've essentially been setting themselves up to be bought. I mean, they've been cutting, even though this past year they've probably done the best out of any of the studios movie side, but they've been cutting a lot of jobs, like slimming staff. Like they've definitely been setting themselves up. Like they set up that other company to kind of offload some other assets. So they've essentially been getting ready for this for the last like 2 years, especially, I would say.
And then Matthew Murr, all the way from the UK. Matthew, so glad to see you. And I fear the prospect of Comcast buying WBD, Warner Brothers Discovery, as it would put Disney at genuine risk. I will say, I mean, with that plethora of a catalog from Warner Brothers fusing into Universal, I definitely would say it would give Disney a run for their money when it comes to the IP wars of like what is being used for streaming content, what is being used for theme park attractions. I think because essentially Universal, majority of the times, they utilize a lot of non-Universal properties, into their parks. I mean, starting now, I think that they're starting to get back into it where they're utilizing Jaws and what is hopefully with Back to the Future, because we got some of that with the Mega Movie Summer and also Fan Fest. So I'm hoping that Universal does get back into their classic catalogs. But again, if they purchase Warner Brothers, that just gives them a bigger catalog for them to use.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think Comcast or Universal Parks have been trying to do more of their own IPs when they can. I like Nintendo's different because I think Nintendo, they're more than, at least the foreseeable future, like nobody's buying Nintendo, and they're very much on their own thing. So like, Comcast is not going to start a video game company that's going to do anything close to Nintendo. But the other ones, I think they would like to have more of their own stuff into their parks for the reasons we're seeing right now of all these other issues that can come up down the line. Because if the Wizarding Worlds ever got put at risk, that would be a huge hit to Universal. And that could be another motivation for them to even start outbidding people to be able to get it, because they probably have the most to lose if if Netflix gets Warner Brothers, it maybe doesn't change, but what happens with the Wizarding World, rights in the parks. And that's probably more tied to J.K. Rowling, I would assume, on some level. But that would be very interesting of them just trying to protect their own parks in many ways. What's up, OG? OG says Disney bidding just to spike it up could backfire on Disney. I agree there. I don't think investors want another Disney acquisition, in my honest opinion. Well, I agree. And also they have enough issues in terms of finding a new CEO, which we're going to talk about here in a minute. They've got a lot of other things going on internally. We're throwing in an acquisition on top of it during a new CEO, changing over CEOs and things. I don't think is something that they would be wanting to do. I don't think any of the investors would want that at this point.
Yeah, and it would just be Disney's luck. They would do something just to kind of like stir the pot, and they would put in a bid, and then it would be crickets.
And then Comcast pulls away real quick. Well, then, that's one company that if they did do that, Comcast, I would assume, would not let Disney get the rights to anything revolving around like Wizarding Worlds. That is one where I could definitely see.
They wouldn't want that in their hands. It's bad enough that, like with Marvel and The Simpsons, and I mean even with The Simpsons, because eventually I think Universal wants to get rid of them anyway. But even right now, that has to be a bitter pill to swallow. That anything sold under The Simpsons merch, Disney gets a cut of that.
Yep. Same with Marvel Superhero Island too. I mean, they make money, but so does Disney. But at the same time, Disney, I've said the whole time, I think Disney just wants their own IPs under their control. If and when, if the Simpsons movie really gets popular, then they can throw meet and greets into the park. Like they could use it to their advantage in many ways. And I don't think that they like the idea of doing a Simpsons movie and then potentially bringing traffic to the Universal parks also, which is probably another part of that. What's up? I haven't seen Nemo in a while. What's up, Nemo? It says nothing wrong with a little competition.
Wait, wait,
I love
wait.
competition.
So you mean to tell me you weren't Finding Nemo?
I was looking. I was like his dad. I wasn't looking, but I found him. I found him right here. He's right here. So hope you're doing good, Nemo. We got Jerry, Colorado, watching from Denver. Well, hello, and hopefully the mountains are nice over there. Matthew here says, how worried would you say you are for Disney given this latest news? In terms of just of this, I mean, we've talked about with Disney, they're in an interesting spot. And I've said for a while, the theme park side, they're still making tons of money, but they've never had this much competition either. Streaming side is interesting. Hulu's propping that up quite a bit. And then the movie side is, I mean, they had Lilo and Stitch do well this year, but other than that, everything else has lost money. So I don't know how much you would look at Disney and say everything's just hunky-dory. But I do think if Comcast gets Warner Brothers, that is going to be something that changes the landscape of a lot of things. Like it changes it in streaming, it potentially changes it in movies. Because out in Hollywood, that WB lot's right there next to Universal Hollywood. So that does give them some flexibility what they could do potentially in Universal Hollywood. And then obviously the streaming side, and it definitely would be something Disney would feel if Comcast were to get it for sure.
Yeah.
Undead Nerd. What's up, Undead Nerd? Says Disney is doing terrible with Fox. Fox barely puts out movies anymore. I'm not saying for sure, but it could be Warner if bought by somebody else. I mean, Disney's trying to do more with the Fox stuff, but yeah, I don't. That's the thing too. If Disney got the rights to the Marvel stuff, like in the theme parks, I don't think you would see Marvel in the Disney park for like the better part of a decade.
See, I personally feel like that Disney acquired Fox more so for the already catalog that they had. I don't know if it was necessarily of what would be moving forward. Just because they were so high up on their pony with Disney Plus, and they were trying to expand the streaming service. It's like, okay, we need more content. So Fox, they felt like was, the best route to go. I think more for the streaming of what Fox already produced than moving forward. Now, having said that, Avatar is also attached to that.
Right.
So I think from knowing of how big of a success James Cameron's resume is, and then with the Avatar films, and then knowing he's making 25 more of them, it's like, okay, that's a nice chunk of change. And they already had Avatar in Animal Kingdom, planning on for DCA, and who knows, maybe even the international parks. I think there were like certain little hidden gems of why Disney purchased Fox, but not necessarily for the reasons of moving it forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Let's see here. Falco Shimmer Flare says if Comcast buys Warner Brothers, it would be easier for Universal to get LPS. What is LPS?
I think it's IPs.
Oh, get IPs. Gotcha. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and Rogue Attraction, what's up, Rogue? He says, when are the DC rights up with Six Flags? It's like another 50 years. It's a long time. Like they wouldn't be able to wait that out. They'd have to actually make a big move on that one if they were to do that. Matthew Meir says, one final question. What exactly should Disney do to combat these moves? I actually think Disney be better off just doing what they used to do, like concentrating on their content, like not worrying as much about everybody else, and just getting back to the way they used to produce movies and things like. And I think that's been Disney's problem, is being so reactionary, especially like you can say it on the theme park side. If you look at, and I was talking about this in OG's channel yesterday, was like they're behind when it comes to like video games. Video games are big now and going to continue to be bigger as those continue to develop into shows and movies and things like that. So a lot of Disney stuff, I think, is if they just focus internally on producing content at a high level, not getting caught up in the other extra stuff that, doesn't serve them any purposes, good, doesn't help them produce better stuff. I think whoever the next CEO is needs to have a vision for where they want to go. But I think in the near future, they need to make sure whoever's the next CEO is going to be there longer than like 3 years. I think that is like where they need to focus on. And that's why I just don't see them even getting involved in this for that reason alone. It would just throw a whole other mess into all this stuff.
Yeah, and then XVoot85 said DC rights through 2053.
Yeah. Okay. I knew it was something 50. Yeah, it's a while. So yeah, they wouldn't be able to wait that one out. Undead Nerd says, here's a hot take. Universal doesn't need other IPs. They could do a Blues Brothers ride. The movies are fun, and they have the bigotry of low expectations with old stuff. I mean, you could. It depends on, like, in theme parks, it determines into what the attractions are. Obviously, the Dark Universe kind of proved that, but I think that the allure of the IPs on top of what they can do, and just given the environment, like if you have an opportunity to buy up someone by Warner Brothers, I get why they would want to jump on that.
Yeah. Now, do they still bring the Blues Brothers out on the streets at the studios?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. They still
I'm
do.
surprised that they don't do it out here in Hollywood. I think honestly that would be a great like addition. The way they have a lot of like street performers at like the Citizens of Hollywood and stuff.
Yeah.
Why they don't
It's
do
a
it.
cool show. Like, I can't say, I mean, I vaguely remember the Blues Brothers movies, but like, it's a cool little show they do. So it's entertaining. It's not something that I would go in to catch it every single time, but when it's around, I'll watch it. Like, it's cool to see. Brian says, let's be real here. Josh is the next CEO. Everyone is just scared to say it. No, I said on OG's channel, I do think it's Josh. I think really what it is, it's Josh or a dark horse, somebody else outside the company that we just don't know about yet. Because I think internal candidates, Josh makes the most sense. But we'll talk. We're actually going to talk about that here very shortly. Undead Nerd says, at Disney, it would be the Young Avengers coaster or Spidey and Kamala Khan ride. Yeah, you're probably not wrong. That would be the other thing. I would be curious as to if Disney got the rights to Marvel. I'm assuming it'd be Hollywood Studios they'd put that stuff into. How quickly would they move on it? Because with all the stuff they have going on, I just don't think foreseeably you would see anything in the parks. At least, well, you've already seen on the West Coast, but in terms of like the Disney World parks, I mean, it would probably be closer to 2040 if they were even to do anything with it by then. And then what's the MCU by then would be the other question too.
Yeah. Again, it's like just a lot of these IPs are being thrown around like ping pong balls, compared to like where, like who's going to adopt them, like which company is going to like.
Well, one thing that if they did get Warner Brothers, Fan Fest would have a lot of stuff because also HBO's with like Game of Thrones, which Disney would not be able to do anything with, but you could see Comcast and the Universal Parks doing something with Game of Thrones. They would be a company willing to do that. That they have the potential to do a lot more stuff that say a Disney would be to acquire them that they would not be able to do or not unwilling to do that Universal could. Mortal Kombat's another one. So there, I mean, they would have a ton of things. So I think on the theme park side, like I would love to see it, but I don't think that this is going to be the final offer we see. I just think Netflix is going to get involved in some other players. It would be my guess. Mr. Brian 13 says, how is Comcast going to buy Warner Brothers with $100 million in debt? Well, if you look at companies that operate in debt, it's not as much of a worry, I guess, as it might have been used to be. I mean, Comcast isn't even the most in debt of the other companies, but I don't think that it would be an issue for them to be able to find. I think they could get the financing to do it, but they do have a lot of debt load. But when it comes to I looked it up. I think Comcast is like number 5 out of all the companies that have the most debt. Like AT&T has more than them. I can't remember. But the other thing that you got to think too, Warner Brothers does have a lot of debt. So like would they absorb that debt, or that'd be a whole other question that I could not answer. But any other final thoughts on this in terms of Comcast looking at this?
I think the only thing is more so just I'm very curious. I'm watching it closely to really see like what is to become of this. It could be the obvious and Comcast puts in a bid and Warner Brothers accepts, or Netflix, or as you have mentioned, Apple or Amazon, or it can go completely the other route. Yeah. And something else might pop up and it'd be like, whoa, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah. I won't be surprised if this gets very interesting. I'm the same way with you, though. I could totally see it being really simple and this is done, or this turns into something bigger. It's just like, who knows where it's at.
And Rogue Attraction, like, Musk buys Warner Brothers.
Yeah. I mean, there's no shortage of people that if they decided to want it, it's like, maybe. Okay. I don't know. Mr. Bryant says it's too much debt. Listen, I'm not an economist, but the fact that if Comcast is looking at buying them, obviously they would feel they could do it. I don't know. I'm not an accountant, so I couldn't tell you on that end. So I'm not sure. But I do think obviously the movie side would benefit, but I think, man, I would just love like a Gotham City. That would be if you did like an old school Gotham City with Superman and Batman, and like that could be a real draw, and especially given if they buy Warner Brothers, they would also be in control of DC in the movie side. So that adds another wrinkle where they could have complete control in the movies and the theme park side, and those things would be like basically simpatico together.
And Lord knows DC needs help on that
yes.
side.
Yes. DC has been, like I said, I've the Snyderverse people, they like them or they hate them. I was not a fan of the new Superman movie at all. I love Superman. I did not care for that movie one bit. So if they bought it, my hope would be that they would just completely start from scratch when it comes to like the like the DC stuff. I don't know if they would, and I don't know what that would do if you started from scratch again on that side of things, but that would just be my personal thing here. Let's see. I'll get a couple more here. The Real Venture says, I think James Gunn would hate Comcast to buy Warner Brothers since he works for DC now. Apparently he hates Universal. Well, you can kick James Gunn to the curb. Listen, James Gunn I don't hate him as a filmmaker. I just think everything now is becoming Guardians of the Galaxy, a different version of it. And I think he's kind of pigeonholed himself. And I honestly think he's overrated. Like, I think he's very good at a certain type of movie, which is usually like an ensemble type movie, which is why I never thought he was a good choice for Superman. But I don't think that like DC, I think you could find creatives that would do better than James Gunn when it comes to the DC universe.
Well, and Xvoot said Universal has a great relationship with Christopher Nolan. Give him control of DC.
Yeah. I mean, he was the executive producer on the Superman movie, so he was involved in that end. But I mean, Christopher Nolan, I would trust much more than James Gunn on producing and making.
I think as far as like for DC goes, because I feel like DC has a little bit more of a darker edge to it than really Marvel. Because even though there are some dark elements in Marvel, but I feel like that DC is much more darker.
Well, and it is, and that's why it was so weird with Superman. Of like, it was very like that Marvel sense of humor in it, and not that there is sense of humor in the DC stuff, but it's much more like gods, and like they're much more serious in tone, versus the Marvel side. But then you can make the argument too of I like the Man of Steel a lot better than the new Superman movie, but also the Superman is not like a dark and brooding character. Like they're trying to make everything into Batman. So Batman's kind of unique, whereas like, but they're all much more serious in nature versus Marvel.
I did not like Man of Steel until I saw the new Superman movie.
Man of Steel is so much better than the new one.
And I find a much better appreciation for it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. Let's see here. All right. Let's move on and talk about our next subject, which is we're going to do a topic here on the Disney CEO, since we were already kind of talking about that. And let me bring that up. So we're going to use an article here from Disney Tourist Blog. So there was an article that came out from Bloomberg that talked about how it looks like, and this is nothing new, at least I don't think for us or people that have been paying attention, that D'Amaro seems to be the front runner. I think undoubtedly at this point he is. If you just look at the optics, and I was talking on OG's channel the other night about how I couldn't even tell you, I don't even know what Dana Walden's voice sounds like. And Josh has talked a lot more. Yeah, and he's doing all the things that you would assume a CEO would do. Going to Netflix shindigs, giving a lot of talks. And in that article, they talked about how Iger bristled a bit at the idea that it was just going to be Josh, but that people inside of Disney were saying that they each headed the departments of D'Amaro for the parks, Walden for the TV side, Jimmy Pittario, and Alan Bergman all gave presentations, and Josh's blew everybody else's out of the water. And I think that's where Josh's strong suit is. He's very appealing. He looks like a salesman. So I do think it's Josh or an outside hire that we just don't know about yet, is my guess. But so that article was out there from Bloomberg, and then Disney made an interesting move here, and there's some leadership changes, and their article here is saying it could hint at the next head of the division being after D'Amaro. So Disney Experiences chairman Josh D'Amaro today announced the appointment of Michael Moriarty as executive vice president and chief financial officer Disney Experiences, succeeding Kevin Lansbury, who is retiring. So he'll be retiring in February 2026 after 39 years with the company. He's worked at Disneyland, Disney World Resort. He's also done some stuff, I think, in Paris, or that may be Moriarty. Moriarty brings nearly 2 decades of Disney leadership experience, including his time as a former CFO at Walt Disney Imagineering and Hong Kong Disneyland Resort, and financial leadership roles at Walt Disney World. For the last 5 years, he has served as president and managing director of Hong Kong Disneyland Resort. And then basically, they said Moriarty brings a deep understanding of our long-term strategy to broaden the reach and impact of Disney experiences, said D'Amaro. His global perspective and leadership will help guide us through an exciting chapter of growth, reaching new fans in new places and on new platforms. So announcing this now is interesting. Do you think that this is Disney perhaps playing their hand a tad bit here about who the next CEO is going to be, or do you think this just coincided?
Yeah, no, I don't think this was a coincidence. This could not have come at a much interesting time. Literally at the end of 2025, we're going into 2026, which essentially they're going to announce the new CEO at the beginning of the new year, probably during the shareholders meeting or something that's significant within the company. And it just seems like anytime that there is a shift for the CEO, there is a shift in the company where, a person leaves, another person comes in, switch positions and everything. So yeah, I don't think this is a coincidence. And the fact that D'Amaro is kind of like in the center of this basically is telling without telling that it seems like D'Amaro already has the gig. They're just waiting to make the announcement.
Yeah, I agree. Before I go on, I just wanted to say Nemo said he's leaving. Said, got to go, but always catch your post live shows, and was shocked to see you live now. But I'll catch you soon. One day the universes will align. They will. And see you later, Nemo. Good seeing you in here, man.
Take care, Nemo. We'll find you again.
We will find you. He sometimes, he may or may not be around Universal Parks. You never know. Maybe in March, maybe we'll find him. And maybe we'll see. But no, I agree with what you're saying. I think I don't really believe in coincidences often. And doing the timing of this, and we've been hearing for like over a year now that D'Amaro is the favorite. And I think when you just look at the simple facts that he's the head of the part of the company that makes the most money, TV and movie side is shrinking, and it's a bigger risk internally to have Dana Walden run everything, given what you know about parks. Well, the parks make the most money, versus D'Amaro's big question mark is, well, how does he manage the movie and TV side? But given that's not as big of a part of the income, it's a bigger risk for Walden. And I really think D'Amaro, the thing that appeals that I think we've talked about it, and I think OG's talked about it, but like the biggest appeal, I think, to D'Amaro and where Disney's at culturally, I have no clue what his politics are. And I think that is a benefit. I think having somebody who is not deemed one side or the other, and I hope that I never know D'Amaro's politics if he's CEO. I would much rather never know anybody's politics that are running companies. Just run your companies and make good products and services. I think that's an actual strength of his if Disney is wanting to reset themselves as...
absolutely. I think I mentioned it on, I think it was a theme park a couple weeks ago. That's where D'Amaro actually has one up on Iger, because people know that Iger he runs his campaign as CEO through a political lens.
Yep.
Dana Walden, we automatically know where she stands. Now,
Yep.
Again, I'm not saying that in a bad way, whether it's one way or the other, but I think just tensions right now, just with everything, that everybody knows a little bit too much about other people, where it never seemed like that was always the issue. That was always the driving force. But now in today's time with technology and social media and content creating, it's out there no matter what. But the fact that Josh can kind of, like hide his political stance, if he has any, that shouldn't be the front runner of you're leading a entertainment multi-billion-dollar company.
Yeah.
To me, it really shouldn't. And I know a lot of these companies, they do need the politics and what have you, but I just feel like that there's a time and a place for everything, that it could be done behind closed doors and not open wide on social media.
No, I completely agree. And I think that I think if Walden were named CEO, that you would just see it would reinforce all the things Disney has done the past 5 years, especially, and then the way they're viewed. I think it would just reinforce that. Oh, okay, we get it, sort of thing. Whereas Diamaro, that does give you an opportunity to sort of have a cultural refresh. As long as he doesn't come in and start making political statements one way or the other, which assuming off his history, he has not. And I think that would be my whole thing is whoever's going to be the CEO of Disney needs to be very Eisner-esque in terms of like having a vision. Where do you want to go and not getting caught up in all this extra stuff and just focusing on the company. And Diamaro, to his credit, and OG kind of said it right here, Josh is a master at PR. He knows how to maneuver this landscape very well. He's very good at selling you and having that sort of twinkle in your eye, like, hey, like I've got a lot of criticisms about the parks, and I think you do, and OG does as well. I guess my questions would be, I've always said, how much of that was Josh and how much of that was Iger or the board or other people kind of putting their hand on there to do stuff?
Now, my one concern with Josh, and it's a big concern, and I don't really mean to judge him as an individual, as a person, but it's just how it seems to go. A lot of times you have these people that have an agenda to get to from point A to point Z. Once they get to point Z, then they change. Right. They become their true self, and it's already too late because they got what they wanted. And I hope that's not the case, but a little piece of me sees Josh that when he's out in the front with all the crowds, he puts on the smile, as you said, the twinkle in the eye. He gives people what they want. He tells them what they want to hear. He's a good-looking guy. He placates to the audience. He gets them to love them, like a true politician really tries to do.
He really does maneuver like a politician. Yeah.
But when your back is turned and you really don't know what's going on behind the scenes, sometimes a lot of those people can be kind of a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like, I think I view it as, and Brian kind of reiterates, and I agree here. He goes, my brother works for Disney, and he says it's 100% sure it'll be Josh. I know some people inside of Disney that basically tell me, like, it's going to be Josh. I have thought it makes the most sense if you're going internal that it's going to be him. I've just been operating for the past 6 months to a year that, like, it's going to be Josh. Unless they find somebody from the outside that, and I don't know what the chances of that are, but that is always a risk. And I think that's where Diamaro could come in. And if he is the CEO, that he has a chance to reset things in many ways, take it in a better positive direction, or he has a chance to, like you said, would he just be an Igerite and just do everything Iger had done? And how much of his own ideas have been held back? Like, there's just a lot of things we don't know about him in terms of like the current operations of the parks. We would find out pretty quickly, I think, of what changes or non-changes he would make. Everybody thought when Iger came back in, he's going to undo a lot of stuff Chapek did. He got rid of hotel parking, and that was really it. He kept everything else because a lot of the stuff that Chapek did is stuff that Iger, let's be honest, Iger never left. He was still in control of the board. Chapek had to answer to Iger and the board. So in many ways, Iger never left. He's still running the show from behind the scenes. And I think that is also a worry because Iger's going to be around for 2-ish years, consulting. And it's like, well, is Josh going to be allowed to make any changes? And that'll be kind of an interesting dynamic because at some point, Iger's just got to go. Like, he can't step back in after this. If he does that again, I just don't see a scenario where that makes any sense.
How incomparable that the Walt Disney Company is.
Yeah.
It shows like they can't make a strong strategic decision.
Yeah.
Without Iger being the center of it. Like, sooner or later, you have to move off of the Iger train.
Well, and that's where it's like the board has been in Iger's pocket, which was interesting because under Eisner, he was kind of very against the board. Like, the board was not with Eisner most of the time. He kind of drug the board along with him to make the changes he wanted to. So I think if, whoever it's going to be, Iger just needs to get on his yacht and just sail away. Let it be. And I do think his parting shot was getting that IP license for that book that he likes. I forget what it's
Well,
called.
after you said that, I don't know why, like the song just like popped in my head. Come sail away.
Yeah.
Sail away.
I was thinking about the South Park version of that where Cartman sings it.
Oh yeah,
That's the one that's in my
I'm
head.
sailing away to
Mhm.
the open.
Yeah, Iger's just crying like, "Oh, I used to run stuff," but like, that's the big thing is like they cannot have a repeat of Chapek. You just you can't. It would. It's not that like would that move alone tank Disney? No, but it's not going to help them, and I think it's just going to prolong issues that they have. And if you look at the ages too, I mean, Josh is like 54. Perceivably, he could run stuff for 15, 20 years. Like, you know, he has youth. He's not an old guy. He also is head of like the video game stuff with Epic. And I think Disney's going to try and use more of that. So I think there's just a lot of things to me that make like I would be shocked. I would be utterly shocked if it was Walden. I think that would be the bigger surprise out of anything. If it was anybody else than Josh, at least
Yeah,
at this point.
I agree. And also too, I mean, there is also the concern, like, you know, what is to become of like the studio side, you know, because essentially, you know, Josh is a parks person, and I can see how, you know, the board or Wall Street may look at that and think, okay, they're going to put another parks person in. Look at the disaster they got with Chapek. But I think Josh has the charisma and personality that Chapek didn't have.
Yeah, that's for sure.
But I I think when it comes to the studio side, and I know that's where like in the very beginning I was leaning more towards Walden, but I think either way the studio is in a position right now where it's very lackluster regardless.
Yeah.
Like even with Iger at the helm right now, the studio for me really isn't doing too much. I mean, we got two more movies coming out at the end of the year, and I feel like those are the two movies that's going to really hold up the studio for the whole 2025 year, and that's Zootopia 2 and Fire and Ash.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I mean,
Disney has to get out of this thing, and I hope Josh goes that route. That when he starts reforming stuff, they need to get out of this live action reboot and sequel business
yeah.
and just focus on new original content.
Dude, make National Treasures. I love National Treasure. Make 15 of those type of movies that cost you. I always look at John Wick as a formula. John Wick movies cost like $70 million to make. And they'll make 400, 500 million at the box office.
Yeah.
And that's a success. Not everything
Well,
has to be $1 billion.
we were talking about in our group chat of M. Night Shyamalan, like his films. I mean, they're made like with pennies, so to speak. I think our good friend Jay Shearer was saying like $9 to $11 million. I think for or was it Seymour Duck? It was one of the two. They were saying like $9 to $11 million for Split and The Sixth Sense, and how much money and how much profit that those movies made. It's like it doesn't take a whole lot to make a good film on a low budget.
Well, and like I've had this conversation with Jay where it's I think a lot of times a lower budget forces you to be more creative because you don't have we've got $200 million to play with here. Like it forces you into a mode of like, what do you make the most out of what you have instead of just like with Marvel stuff. And Feige is like, yeah, well, reshoots are just what we do. Like, well, you shouldn't have a model where every single movie you make has 15 different reshoots. Like that just seems like it's a bad waste of resources instead of having everything planned out. And I think that's part of the problem of there's so much bloat in Disney. And ideally, I would love whoever comes in and just not that I ever want to see people lose their jobs, but I bet there's just a massive amount of redundancy inside of Disney and just like lean things up, get things focused, and just I think you have to at this point. I mean, if you're especially with AI on the horizon and that's going to be implemented in the companies all over the place, that's going to reduce redundancies. That part's probably inevitable anyways. But especially if you just have this continued slog on the movie side, like you just got to make some changes there. And I think that would be the big question is like, what would would he be willing to be viewed as a bad guy? Because Josh, for the most part, he's very viewed positively. I mean, the Disney fans and the theme park people have opinions about him, but that would be the other thing too. Of being the CEO brings a whole level of pressure that he has not had yet. And how does he handle it? And what does he lash out? Like, there's a lot of questions there with that much pressure. Like, what are the things that he might do there? And if he starts firing people, it's going to make, especially in the movie side, it's going to make Hollywood mad. And does he have the fortitude to not cave to that? I guess would be the other one.
Yeah, and that's the double-edged sword where, you know, you want to be liked in the public eye, but sometimes if you are the head honcho, you have to make decisions that you may not, you know, think that the public would agree upon, but you have to stick with it. And that's where it kind of goes back and forth, because does he want to lose that image, or does he want to be a good CEO?
Right. Well, and it's like Walt. I mean, it's different nowadays, but like I will bet you a good amount of money Walt was not always a really nice guy. I'm betting that he many times came in and, like, you know, got into people. It's thought about all the time. Steve Jobs was just an a-hole. Like, he was like, I think it was Kevin O'Leary said he worked for Steve Jobs, and he was like, oh, he was a huge asshole, but he was a genius, and he didn't care if you were mad at him. He's like, this is what we're going to do, and if you can't do it, I'll find somebody that can. And people can think on an interpersonal level like, oh, he's a jerk, but it's like, jerks get things done, though. Like, trying to appease everybody, essentially you appease nobody. I think Iger has fallen into that. I think Iger's very image aware and legacy conscious, and that, I guess, would be a question of like, how would Josh behave with that? And I guess we'll probably find out.
I like Brian's comment. Bob Iger is Emperor Palpatine. He isn't going anywhere.
Somehow Iger returns. You think you get rid of him and like 10 years later he reemerges,
and then he'll come and literally he'll come back like all crepit with a hood on.
I'm all of the Disney CEOs. You're like, what? What are you saying?
It was me the whole entire time.
It was me the whole time. OG says the key to success is the willingness to piss people off while maintaining good character. Absolutely. Well, that's also comes into like having it's like, if you know where you're going, you getting through some of the muck to get there, you're willing to do that if it's for the greater good. But if you're just flying by the seat of your pants and you're just like, are you mad? Oh, I don't want to make you mad. Like, that's where I think Disney's been so wayward.
I think regardless, I just enjoy pissing people off.
It's not bad. Listen, if you pissing off the right people is good business.
Yeah.
But doing it in a way, yeah, like, and Josh can do it maybe I don't know. That part I think is very interesting about all the pressure that comes at the CEO spot. But yeah, and then there was also talk about a dual CEO setup, but I think a dual CEO setup would be best. But at this point, I don't see that happening. I think it takes a very certain type of people, and it's like a marriage to make that work. And people have said like, oh, Walden and Diamaro. I'm like, I don't know Walden, but she gives me the idea that she'd stab you in the back at a moment's notice if it meant that she could move ahead. And maybe she wouldn't, but that's just like, you can't just throw two people together and just assume that like they're just going to work.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. You have to have some sort of like connective agreement. Like, even like, I mean, you don't have to have like the same outlook, but you still have to have something that complements. And that's why I always said, like, if they were to do a dual partnership, or at least maybe like one step down for CEO, where you have like the business and the creative, you know. And I feel like you need both for Disney, because Disney is in that very unique position where it's not just a film studio, it's not just a theme park industry, it's not just a streaming service, it's literally all of these things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very unique company that require, and I think ideally a dual CEO setup would work, but you have to have like Eisner and Wells. You know, Eisner is much more visionary. Wells is money. You have, and it's like, it's very much like a marriage where it's like, my wife and I, like, do we see eye to eye on every single thing? No. But at the end of the day, like, we're in this together. We're not going to go anywhere. So we can work out whatever issues we have and come to the, you know, where we need to go as a family. It's the same thing with the CEO in that situation. If you don't trust the other person inherently, that's never going to work. Especially if you got two people that have been vying for the spot, and you know, it's like, is there animosity? Like, and it's like a sports team. I said that on OGs the other night. How many different teams have we seen? They sign all these free agents, and you're like, oh man, that team's going to be unbeatable, and they're terrible. And it's not because of lack of talent; it's because the talent isn't complementary, or the egos. Like, a lot of times, really good teams are not just made up of the most talented people; it's just different skill sets. There was a book, I think, Good to Great, and the analogy was about getting the right people on the right spots on the bus, going where you want to go. And I think that it's a lot more complicated to have a dual CO setup that could work, but it also could blow up in your face. And I think that's probably more the risk there.
Yeah, you would have to know, like, if you were to go that route, which again, I still think it could work. You know, we've seen it. History has proven that it worked really well in the well-oiled machine with Eisner and Wells, and then even with Walt and Roy. You know, they still obviously had creative and financial differences, but they still harmonize together. And again, for how big that the Walt Disney Company is, I mean, let's face it, the Disney Company has more faces than Gary Busey, you know, but it's, you know, but you know, you have to, you just have to know like which two.
I did the picture of Busey. Didn't he do a sausage commercial? He's like, I like sausage. You know?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking too, who's the Mickey Rooney? He's got like 20 faces. You're like, oh my! Every time I see him, I'm like, is that him? Like, good night. He looks so weird. That's fun. Yeah, that's a perfect thing to end on. No, I agree, and I think like Kevin Mayer and Tom Staggs are some that come to mind as I've said for a while. I think they're a dark horse. That if you were going to dual CO setup, they would be the guys you would bring in. But that requires a little bit more of a complicated nature of the, you know, just throwing two people together. And, John Brad,
welcome in, John. Haven't seen you in a while.
What's up, John? He says, I remember the I'm with Busey show on Comedy Central. I remember that show. I do remember that show.
That was right. Where like comedy was like in such good taste. Like, whatever.
Well, and we're seeing a resurgence of it. Like, you're seeing more of people being like, I don't care. Like, people getting mad. I remember the first episode of the Chappelle Show. I remember watching that in my basement. I was like, what is this? Like the very first one, because it was the black white supremacist.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. Oh, they don't do stuff like that as much anymore. But you know, maybe they will do more cutting edge things. All right, let's move on and talk about. I don't want to run out of time here. Let's talk about the Universal Kids Resort. Yeah. I know.
Really quick. OG said, I just DM'd you on Instagram. Wizard has posted official Universal on-ride photos for Fast and Furious.
Ooh. You want to check that out first? You want to look at the...
Yeah, let's check it out.
All right, let's see. My screen. Is my screen showing? No, okay. Make sure I'm not showing my DMs on here. You never know what OG's going to send you on the DMs. You always got to be real careful there. All right, let's see here. New images. Okay, I'm going to share my screen today. This is breaking news. Actually, I'm going to pull that out of my chat so I'm not. There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. This is from Theme Park Wizard. It says Fast and Furious Hollywood Drift has started its full circuit testing ahead of its 2026 debut. And he says it looks glorious. So let's take a look here. Oh. Now, is that a cover or is that actually the paint job on those?
That might be a cover because I thought they all had different looks to them to each.
I thought so too. Yeah. And oh man, good Lord. I will never ride this, but it looks awesome. I'm not a coaster person, but it does look awesome. Wow. Yeah, that's got to be a cover. But they have tested them. I'm very familiar with the testing of roller coasters from covering Epic Universe construction so much. Wow. So they've done a full. Wow.
I still think like that shot to me looks like wow. Like I could imagine the airtime.
Yeah.
On that.
I think that thing sounds so cool. Like the drifting aspect of it. Like it just seems so unique.
Yeah. Now, I did talk to a theme park conductor when we did our live show when he came on Hollow Gelato. And I have a funny feeling the fact that, and actually theme park conductor, speaking of which, he's actually there right now. So he actually might be with Wizard and such, because he said that he was going to cover to see if he can get any footage from the testing of the coaster itself. So he's there right now.
Oh, nice. Let's ring him up on the spot.
Yeah.
Be the reporter.
Yep. Maybe unless he's at Costco checking out the bidets. I don't know.
I went this morning and I didn't find any. I went the other day I forgot because I texted you and Conductor. They had like the most expensive bidet I've ever seen in my life at Costco. It was like 200. No, it was like $400. And this thing was like the Cadillac of bidets. And I tried to see if Conductor could get me a discount, but he was unwilling.
And that would be like a Cadillac, because like as soon as you like sit in it and your butt just like firmly like fits in, like
yeah. I'm pretty sure it had suspension on it too. I feel like it was it had all sorts of the features on there.
But as far as with this coaster, I feel like the fact that they're test running it now with the test dummies and what have you, I could, because he asked me, when do I think that this coaster will be up and running? I think honestly they'll probably start doing team member previews and annual pass previews probably, I would think, at the beginning of the year, because I think they're going to want to get through the holidays. They probably still have to do a lot of testing with it, you know, especially what's been going on with the Universal and the roller coasters and all that, you know, like with Stardust. I don't think they're going to want to take any chances of hurrying up to open this thing without really knowing. Not saying that it was Stardust Racer's fault, but just given the fact that
they're going to want to make sure everything's good.
So I think honestly at the beginning of the new year, I think between January and March, because I feel like that it's a sweet spot, that it's like downtime to bring in something new right after the holidays. And I have a feeling they're going to want this open before FanFest.
Yeah. Now that timing makes sense. I was going to ask you that next too, what you thought about that. Yeah, I could see that for sure. Natasha CS411 says the G-force on that might be more intense than Stardust. I think possibly.
I would think so too, because especially with the road, because I've watched the digital POV.
That's what I was looking for that right now, because I've seen that too.
And every time that it goes through like a steep banked turn or going upward, that's when the vehicles rotate. So I can imagine the G-force on that.
Yeah.
And then the Stitchy Dentist says, what a difference a bidet makes.
What a difference it makes, you know? I mean, once you use it, you don't go back.
No.
All right, well, let's look at let's see if my computer, if I freeze up, we will be right back. But StreamYard seems to be better on my computer. But I'm trying to share this this POV of the Hollywood Drift Coaster. Am I holding up? I'm holding up. Okay.
You're holding up.
We're holding up. We're doing it. Yeah, this thing, like I said, I will never ride this, but it looks awesome. Let me get to the actual ride part. Here we go. Like, that thing looks insane. And mind you, the whole time it's got the car noises and stuff on here.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it like revs the engine and everything. So that you kind of have like the tamer side, you know, it starts off, and then you go into
that's the part we just saw on the other photo. I think that was the spot right there where it turned.
Barrel roll. And then here's where it shoots off.
And on that hillside too. Oh, see that right there? I would just be like, oh no. And it's on the hillside. I feel like that's going to add such a different feel to it, because it's just, this coaster is literally being built like on the hillside of that park.
On the hillside, yeah.
That's going to be such a weird inversion there. You are turning opposite of the way that you're going.
And I think that part that we just passed, I think you're upside down in that part, I think.
You might be. Man.
And what's interesting with that whole ride is it's because I was able to take a look at the actual model of the vehicle. It's not the pull down harness. It's literally just wrap around the waist.
Yeah. Brian says, yes, you will ride this when it comes to Orlando. Listen, super chats do a lot to help me get motivated for things. I'll say it that much. If people super chat enough, I'll film it and then, get my, I don't it's not like a health thing. It's just, I do not like the feeling of my stomach dropping. And I'm just I just don't like to be violently thrown about. And it probably is a control thing, because I'm a control freak in many ways. But super chat.
I love it for some reason. I don't know why.
My wife does too. Yeah. And so does my brother. I'm one of the only ones in my family that I'm good. I love Hagrid's. Hagrid's is great. But yeah, if it goes upside down, has these massive drops, I'm just But getting me on those.
Have you done? Oh, go ahead.
I was
No,
just saying,
then
I don't get the cool photos. Me on a ride photo is just grabbing the bar and just doing like I grit the
I
whole
want to
time.
see. I want to see that. I want to see. I want to see the photo of like of you just like.
Yeah, it's just me like bending the bar. Like I don't have the cool like I look terrified on a ride. It's just me grunting the whole time.
It's basically your interpretation of being on a bidet. You know, it's like
that. But I actually listen. I'm getting really clean. It's but if it's a rough one, yeah.
Well, let me rephrase that. The look you give before you actually use the bidet.
Yeah. Afterwards, pure bliss. Just happy.
Now have you gone on Cosmic Rewind?
Yes, I like Cosmic Rewind. Yeah. That one. Have you ridden that one before?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
There you go. You got your
$2. Well, first off,
$2.
Thank you for the $2. I greatly appreciate it, X-Food. But if I'm saying to get me onto that coaster or that similar like it,
I'm just curious. You say the super chat. What would be your golden number? Like, obviously, if everyone like chipped in like a couple dollars here, but what was your number that you would say, okay, now I will actually do it?
I mean, if it was like a 500, I would be like, okay, like that would be the number I would put it at. But no, X-Food, thank you very much for the $2. I do appreciate it. I'm just saying, for me to get on that ride, it'll be more than a $2 super chat.
Well, you heard emoji. Put in 500.
Somebody's gonna drop it right now and be like, son of a bitch. Like, surely no one will do that. I'll don't worry about it. Oh man. All right. Well, let's talk about the Universal Kids Resort before somebody sends a super chat that forces me onto a ride. If it happens, it happens. But you just put a number out there.
Right back getting
right. Dude, if I'm getting it, I'm splitting it. You're going on it with me. That's all I'm saying.
You got another one here.
All right. Well, we're up to $7. We will send super chats to make you right. Thank you, Natasha, for the 5. Listen, if I'm not one for being bullied, but if the chat wants to bully me into things via super chats, I will.
Let's go, chat. We only need 493 more to go.
It's like a Jerry Lewis telethon.
But it's for the kids.
It's for Jared being scared out of his mind. Yeah, you got it. But I have to wear a GoPro on like my face on my chest, so like you get my face the whole time. I don't even know what it would look like. Like my wife would die laughing. She would absolutely love. Like if I told her, I'm going to tell her about this, she's gonna be like, "I'm going to bully you into this stuff." X-Food says, Listen, it's getting closer. Like the Stitchy Dentist is $199. Thank you. All right. Well, we are within like $490 now. We're getting closer.
We're getting there.
By the way, greatly appreciate the super chats. You guys are great.
Actually, I think it's 480.
It's probably 480. It's somewhere around there. It's getting closer.
Yeah.
Brian says you got 2 years to prepare yourself. This is true. I do. Imagine if it's like, if you hit that now and then I have like a whole year to like just have this like, oh, I got to do this in like 2 years. Oh no. But the thing is,
dude, I'm telling you, chat. I just remember I'm saying this. If it does reach his goal, not even this live, but just in general, if it reaches his goal of 500 and that he has to go on, I will fly down. I will drop everything that I'm doing for whatever opening day that the coaster opens. I will literally drop everything. I will fly down and I will ride this with him, because it would be the fact that I would want to see what he is like on this thing. The fact that it took him for the $500 just to get on the thing.
So if you have a voiceover of me on this, I remember the first time that I rode Cosmic Rewind, and I like that ride, but like that's the first ride I went on where I actually did not know. Like, I like to know what a ride's going to do before I ride it. So I took our daughter on it, and it was a lot. They just said it was a family coaster, and I was like, it can't be that bad. So we get on it, and that reverse lift hits, and I was like, this is a little bit intense. And we get up there, and then me, like, as it's going through, it's just a lot of like, what the hell is that? Like, I just yelling and like grunting. It sounds like a caveman hunting for the most part, I think, of just doing that. Brian says, I'm joking, by the way. I do not know what is replacing Rip Ride Rocket. I am not on the team working on that replacement. Well, I've heard the same things,
Okay.
Brian. Oh, gosh.
Getting close.
With 20. Getting closer. All seriousness, appreciate the content. Well, I first off, thank you for the super chats, and Xfood is going to lead the charge in getting me to ride.
And then Natasha says, I'm a woman. I'll remember everything. I'll remind you until you do. And honestly, Natasha, that is very true. Like Abby, like she has to remind me for like everything. Like I'll say like, oh, I'm going to do this. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm like, why? Because she's like, because we have this. And I'm like, oh, I completely forgot about that. And it's like, oh, okay. And it's not even just one time. It's like every time. So every time, like even to do this live today and what have you, I had to reach out to Abby, who is at work, to make sure that my schedule was open. I'm
glad I'm not the only one, because like my wife is like time oriented. Like I remember I told this story on our podcast, like on our honeymoon, we were in Jamaica, and those all-inclusive resorts, like time doesn't matter. Like you can just, it doesn't. And so she'd constantly be like, what time is it? I'm like, it literally doesn't matter. We don't have to be anywhere. And it drove her nuts. But like, I'm very bad with time. And so all the time I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this thing. She's like, no, we have that thing. Oh yeah, I forgot. So then like, yeah, I'm the same boat. I would be lost without my wife. And yes, Natasha, you're much like my wife. You will remember, as will the chat probably. But no, I appreciate it. Carlos Vasquez says Jared is going to keep going until $4.99 and then say bye. That would be. Now I will say, I guess there should be guide rules, which I don't think we're going to hit that this stream, but maybe it doesn't have to be in one stream or multiple streams, and then that gets hit within.
I would laugh my ass off if we actually if you hit that 500. That would be funny as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. All of a sudden my internet acts up. Like I didn't see it come through. Like I don't know what to tell you.
It's like you'll be like, I'm never using StreamYard again.
Like, damn it. This thing works too well. This thing. All right. Uh-oh. Oh, I thought I froze up there for a minute. Okay. My computer is working great.
Yeah, that's your wishful thinking.
All of a sudden it just hit. I'm the only streamer that's terrified of getting large super chats lately. Like, welcome to the live stream. Please don't super chat anything too big. I got to do stuff. I don't want to.
Like the next live, someone will super chat $100, and we'd be like, "Whoa, that was awesome. That's great." And you're like, "Oh no."
Most streamers are like, "Oh man," and I'm just sitting here just terrified. Like, "Oh no, what was that one?" No. Oh,
are you sure it was 100? I thought it was just $1.
Was that USD? Oh, hold on. We got to get conversion rates in here, because if that, we got to wait till the conversion rate, and then I'm just bringing up all sorts of excuses. All right. Well, before we get out of here, I don't know if we'll have time. We'll try and hit this, and we'll try and I want to get George's reaction at least to the menu reading of the $200 Santa experience. Natasha says it has to be across multiple streams. Well, okay. Then maybe okay. Well, I already said 500. I won't take it back. Okay, fine. Okay, fine. We'll see. But the super chats have to say is distinctively, because we have like a year. I'm imagining there's going to be $500 worth of super chat. So we have
That's very true. That's very true. So chat, if you want to donate any, oh shit.
Brian sends a $99.99.
Wow. Okay, so that left me speechless, and I don't get speechless very often, but yeah. So moving forward after this live, folks, anytime we're doing theme Parkin or Jared's doing his member stream or what have you, make sure that you put, when you do a super chat, this is for the roller coaster, because we don't know if it's going to be Fast and Furious.
We don't even know what it is yet, to be fair. Right. But I think we do know without knowing. Every time I see super chat now, you're just going to hear me being like, "No, God, no." Thank you, Brian, for the super chat. Okay, let's see here. What was I saying? Yeah, I should have set up guide. Yeah, okay. We'll set up those super chats will count toward it on this stream for sure. And then
any super chats that you guys send in to Jared will go directly for the donation of him riding the
X-Boot
new
with 100. Here we go, Ghostbusters.
I don't think you have to worry about the multiple stream because I think you're about to hit it.
I should have priced my price higher. I really Thank you, X-Boot, for the $100 super chat. Oh, hey, we have a hard out at 6:00, or maybe earlier. Natasha says you're already at 2:34. Yeah, I know. Thank you, Natasha. The Stitchy Dentist says for 44 of us, it's 11:37 by 44. Well, we're more than halfway there. Well, okay. Thank you. As much as it's for a cause that I don't necessarily want to do. Just inherently, I appreciate the super chats and the comedy that will ensue, because now this is undoubtedly going to happen, and I have lost control. Yes. So
this is actually this live, out of all the lives that I've ever done on any channel, is going to go down in history of like an epic proportions of how many people really want to see you go on this.
Just want to see me be really uncomfortable. Oh gosh.
It's safe to say you definitely hit your threshold for the month.
yeah. It was on that end is true. A-Rod says you guys are never going to get to the kid resort. Well, we'll try. We'll try. All right, we'll try to get this. So Universal Kids Resort. Universal came out with a next announcement about unveiling the lands that are going to be a part of this kids resort. If you don't know what this is the new park that's going into Frisco, Texas, and it is very much aimed toward young kids and young families, and it's going into kind of a suburban of Dallas. We knew this was being built. It's currently under construction, but they announced the 7 lands we will find here. There's DreamWorks Shrek Swamp, DreamWorks Puss in Boots Del Mar, Illuminations Minions versus Minions Bellow Bay Club, Jurassic World Adventure Camp, DreamWorks Trolls Fest, Nickelodeon SpongeBob SquarePants Bikini Bottom, and the Isle of Curiosity. And then they had some more details, which I'm going to actually look, I think, on the website here. I may have to share my other screen. They have some more detail.
Got another 10 there, bub.
Thank you, Natasha. Natasha with a 10.
No, God.
No, what I meant. No, I didn't. No, thank you, Natasha. That goes into the fund, the Jared Coaster Fund. Has to happen, and you better take him with you. Oh, at this point, George if I go without George, there's going to be
I'm part of this equation. So I'm definitely going. And I tell you what, too, chat. I will definitely. Holy Mary, Mother of God, you're done. You're done, man. You got it. Like you're done. It's in. It's official. Jared's going on this ride. I am flying down to Florida whenever this thing opens. Whenever he is going, I'm gonna ride this thing. And also, too, I will be live streaming this whole process. I don't know, obviously, if I can go live stream on the ride, but I definitely will live stream the before and the aftermath when we go on whatever this new ride is going to be at Orlando. Because I'm all in this now because I've invested too much. I've invested my blood, sweat, and tears to really push and hype you guys up to send him this money to ride this. I have to be part of this now.
Itchy dentist with the $199.99.
No, God, please, no.
That's gonna be him when we're coming out of the station.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that'll be a little bit of that. I don't even know where the total's at.
You're at 445.
Well, I mean,
okay, come on, folks. We got him at 445. What's another? I'm going
to learn a valuable lesson, and that is to not price myself too cheap on something I don't want to do. I'm learning, but now I can't go back on it. So.
And here's another thing too. Here's another valuable lesson. Your chat is like so hardcore. Like when they want something done, I appreciate that from them because that is like
Yeah, they're
wild.
intense. They're intense. They know what they want, which is me. Like I just imagine like afterwards the like post game interview with me is just like, I just want to give a shout out to my chat for forcing me to ride this ride. Just I don't know what it would look like. Just I would say my hair's disheveled, but I shaved my head, so I don't know what that would look like.
Yeah.
But
So if two people can do 2750, we're good.
you can't encourage this, George. Listen, we don't want to force people like to do things they don't want to do, right? I mean, we don't even know what's going to go in here yet. I mean, this could be a dark ride. That intimate building. That no.
That's it. We made
it. X-Food with a 5604. Thank you, X-Food.
No, God, no.
Well, and OG says, there it is.
Well, there it is.
Yep, there it is. Stitchy Dennis says, I've been watching long enough. It's the least I can do. Well, as much as I don't want to ride the coaster, I very much appreciate people sending in the super chats and wanting me to ride a ride that an hour ago thought I would never ride.
In all seriousness, yeah, that was, I mean, very, even though you do want to see Jared on this roller coaster, it is very honorable and gracious of you guys to gift him.
Oh, absolutely. I do not take that lightly. It is.
Yeah. And don't worry, I will be there. As I said, Hollow Gelato. I have the scoop on all things theme parks. I will be boots on the ground.
This is gonna be like a documentary, like the day before, like watching me. Like, Jared, you okay? Like, get a camera in my face, George. Okay. Trying to get ready for this.
And I could add like a like those documentaries like where it's like you're leading up to something. I could do like a time clock, like 12 hours before.
You keep going, hey, in 24 hours, like, hey, George, you're not helping right now. Okay. Natasha says if you can raise this, you'll need to do Universal UK soon too when that opens. I got to figure out a price for all this because apparently I thought 500 was just that wouldn't happen. OG's having a good time. Listen, I'm going to start this to OG too. You guys got to everybody has to bully OG into writing this too because maybe not. I don't know. Brian says we love you, man. Well, I love you guys too. Xfood says, me too. I've been watching both of your channels for a long time. Well, like George said, it doesn't go above me, even though it is for me doing something I don't necessarily want to do. I greatly appreciate it. And YouTube is a crazy, the internet's a crazy fun place. Brian says, you are the best. I never give YouTubers money. Well, then I humbly accept. I mean, unless you want a refund. I mean, if I don't want to,
he would gladly give you the refund. I guarantee you that.
I just started handing out refunds.
And then
I dispute super chats inside of YouTube. I'm like, this is not a legitimate super chat. I just want you to know, YouTube. Pretty sure this was a stolen credit card.
And then Eric Stratton says, I'm late. Which ride coaster? It is supposedly the new roller coaster that's supposed to mimic the Fast and Furious coaster that's coming out here at Hollywood. That's going to replace Rip Ride Rocket at the studios.
Yeah. Erida says $. Brian says, no, you're writing that right. I know. I don't even think I can dispute super. I don't think YouTube would ever have a situation where I calling.
Yeah, that'd be like, really? You really want to give that back?
Hey, I need to talk to somebody. My fans, the people in my super chat, they were sending me a lot of money, and I don't want this money. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah. OG says, so we super chat him flight money to ride Fast and Furious in a few months? I mean, okay. Natasha says no refunds allowed. Okay, fine. Falco Shimmer says Universal Epic Universe Christmas. That is good. Well, how much time you got? Like 15 minutes left?
Yeah. Before you move over to Christmas, I'll just say this with the Universal Kids Park, and we could even dive into it more like on another theme park. But I'll just give my overall gist on it. I feel like a lot of people were bashing it, saying that, it's like just like kid jungle gyms and stuff like that, and not a whole lot, where really I wasn't really too surprised at that, because that's basically what Universal was coming out and saying that it was going to be. I don't know where it was going to be this elaborate park, but I will say I don't have a problem with it, but I feel like that the location, I think, is kind of odd that you're just going to put that park sitting by itself, like in the middle of nowhere, and people are going to travel and stay on property for that. I think it's cool for the young kids, but I feel like it would have been better as an attachment to an already existing Orlando resort or a Universal resort.
Yeah, so the purpose behind them is Woodbury said these are like essentially funnels or feeders into the bigger park. So the idea behind the whole concept here is that it introduces kids to the Universal brand at a younger age, and then as they age out of these parks, then they automatically, like, they're already aware of Universal, and then go to Universal like Orlando or Universal Hollywood. So they're going to put more of these around, and they did pick these areas as regional theme park models. They even put in the wording that this is for the regional, like they called it a regional theme park. So they're not meant to have people coming from worldwide. And the reason there's no dark ride in here, which some people were criticizing, is because the local government said they couldn't. They actually said they could have no dark rides. They did not want this to be a huge mega tourist destination. They're also going to close at 6 o'clock on the weekday, 7 o'clock on the weekends, no fireworks, no buildings above 4 to 5 stories. So they're wanting this to just be a very like contained regional park, the local government wise. Now, I don't know if that means they would do bigger ones in other places, but it is. And like Brian here said, it's a locals park. That's exactly what they want it to be. So they're going to do multiple of these. So I think that's why, but I actually think you could see these pop. I could see the kids resort idea pop up in Orlando, because if you do that, they have the space near Epic Universe. They're not that expensive to build. It would be a park that goes directly, that would go after a demographic they haven't done before. You could also throw in Nintendo and other IPs in there. And then technically from a marketing standpoint, you could also say 4 theme parks.
Exactly. And that's honestly what I would have done. As I said, I don't have a problem with the park if it's just dedicated to kids, but just standing on its own, I don't really see how it's going to do well. It would probably work just for the locals there, but I think for people to actually travel to, I don't know if it would be enough.
Yeah, and I think, like, I've heard the rumors of Seattle. I think you will see multiples of these pop up in different places. And I'm very curious of what the appeal. Now, it's not that far from Dallas, so it is pretty close to a pretty big metro area. And they chose Frisco because Frisco is a growing demographic with younger kids and young families. So I think that's why they chose it, which would be my guess as to what they end up choosing are more of these suburban areas, offshoots of bigger cities, to kind of throw these in there. So where the future ones go will be very curious. So I am curious how this goes. And is it going to be a seasonal park? Is it going to be a year-round park? Because it does get cold. It does snow sometimes in Texas. And Natasha says, will either of you be going to Universal Kids Park? We are going to take our kids. Our kids are like the prime age for this park.
I think for me, like, I'm not going to go just because, like, it's somewhere that is, I got to check it out. But I think for the channel and the content, and to bring you guys like the information, again, boots on the ground of what it looks like, I wouldn't mind, because it's really not that far, like, from California. So I really wouldn't mind checking it out just to kind of cover like the hotel and the different lands and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, we could time it out where you could go when we're there with our kids, so you don't look weird.
That would work really well. Yes.
Without
let me know when you. Yeah, let me know. I could be Uncle George the Italiano. Just walk.
Yeah, that way they're just like, there's this man here.
He's walking around with a camera.
I'm on the next live stream disavowing George. Like, I don't know what he's doing out there. Let's see. Brian says, yes, let's bully Fun Spot to sell their property. The kids resort will go there. Bully Fun Spot. Yeah, maybe. Mademoiselle Papel, I think I got that right, says, hi, CTM and Hollow Gelato. Hello.
What's up, Mademoiselle?
And Natasha says, I guarantee once it's had success in a year or two, they'll open one in Orlando. I think it's...
I agree.
I think it's prime for it. This park is only 35 acres. It costs $500-ish million to make, which if you compare that to Epic Universe at $6 to $8 billion, I mean, that's a drop. They could build 10 of these parks or more. I'm not good at math. Before they even hit that point of like how much it costs to build Epic. So I think if you're talking about a low risk, potential high ROI, putting one of those, if you think about in Orlando, You put it near Epic Universe. You have Nintendo properties you could easily use for kids, Wizarding World stuff. You have a park now, and I talked about before from some of the people I know in the travel industry. They're seeing people travel to Orlando for full weeks now, and not really spending time with Disney. So that makes them even more of a week-long destination, appeal to those young kids and the older kids because you have something for everybody to do. And I think it'd be a very interesting mix. And you don't have to use your real estate inside the existing parks for kids stuff, because then you could just do the big rides, the big lands in there, and then put all your kid stuff in one park. And I think it's something they could do. I'm not saying that off anything I've heard. That's just my personal opinion. I've held that one for a while.
Yeah. But we still have a little bit of time. Do you want to do this Santa thing?
Oh yeah. We'll do on the next theme park, and we'll do a full thing and talk about that because we'll talk more.
Yeah, there's still a lot more to dive in with that. For sure.
And and I'm interested in it because again, my kids are the age that they're perfect for this. So we will for sure check that out. All right, this one will be kind of funny. So George, did you know you can eat with Santa? You can have dinner with him for the low price of $200. And now are you aware of the Cake Bake Shop?
I am, yes.
Okay. So it's the home of $18 PB&Js, $18 grilled cheese sandwiches, $8 Cokes, $26 eggs, $26 for a plate of fruit. They have a new Santa experience where you can go dine with Santa. It's $200 for adults and $150 for kids is also the wild part about this. Now, what's funny is the wording that they use with this. So I'm going to read this off. Okay. It says, prepared especially for this festive occasion, we have crafted a delightful 3-course dinner to sprinkle your evening with holiday cheer. The menu begins with sparkling holiday champagne and cocktails, and elegant hors d'oeuvres, which is just charcuterie board, which is grown-up Lunchables, followed by a sumptuous main entree designed to warm the heart, and concludes with a seasonal dessert sweetly inspired by the magic of the season. Included with your visit, each family will receive a beautifully captured photograph to download from the Disney PhotoPass app to treasure for years to come, or a harsh reminder of the $1,000 meal you had with Santa. Every family will have the chance to meet Santa Claus himself, sharing their, by the way, this is trademarked, holiday pixie glitter wishes, while basking in the magic of the season. From twinkling smiles to whispered wishes, this special moment is designed to become a sparkling memory, a keepsake as timeless as Santa's own story. So for $200, you get up to 3 beverages, an entree of your choice, a dessert, a professional family photo with Santa, which you can then download, and you get a cookie to take home. Do you want to do this, George?
Not for $200.
Somebody mentioned, and I think it was on the video I did, they were like, somebody said like they wanted me to do this. They're like, I just want to see how comfortable you are here, because I have been to this restaurant, and I will say, a listener of our podcast, because I said in our podcast, I'm like, there's no way I'm eating here because this is insane that these prices. And so she took my wife and I, because she loves the Cake Bake Shop, wanted us to try it. And so I went, and the food is actually really good. Like the burger was good. The atmosphere is interesting. It is not my speed. It is very glittery. There's glitter everywhere. They put glitter in your drinks. They put it on the food.
I will say this. The $500 that the chat sent you to ride the roller coaster fills me with much higher expectation than spending $200 on this Santa thing. Yeah.
Well, and somebody had mentioned, they're like, we want you to do this. I'm like, I did the math. It's $950 plus, by the way, it's a 24% gratuity that you have to pay and taxes. So it would be $950 if I took my family to go do this. I was like, listen, if you guys want me to film or review this, I'm not going to make the mistake of underselling how many super chats it would take or money, because it's got to be at least $1,000, because that's crazy. And if you want George and I to go on a date, then that's just, I don't know, that could be even equally uncomfortable. But maybe George can be bought. I don't know. We'll do for one. Speaking of Eric, Eric really became a member. Thank you, Eric, for becoming a member. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Absolutely. Really quick though, that would be a funny ass moment where if the chat sent us for you and I to go and do this, and we both get our picture taken with Santa.
Yeah. The whole time I'm just like, I have children. Okay. We're
Yeah.
platonic. All right.
Yeah. It's like, can't like two guy friends just go out and get their picture taken with Santa and spend $200?
Oh, I'm sorry. Dudes can't go on brunch dates. I'm sorry. All right. Just get real defensive and nobody's even saying a word. It's like, oh, these guys are really defensive about this. Natasha says, meet Santa for free at your local place or in your town for what you'd pay for a pic. Oh, even at Disney Springs, it's free. Or the mall.
I really would like to know, I mean, obviously they gave the description, which is very Disney-esque, but like what is like so special that it really costs $200 per person?
It's because of what the cake bake shop is. It's just very hoity-toity. Like everything's over the top. And I think it's just supposed to be this like elegant dinner. And like if you look at Santa, like he's got his whites on. Like he's got a very coiffed beard.
Yeah, he's like very elegant, very very chic. And Rogue Attraction says George could say he is Josh Gad, just saying maybe they could compute.
It's on Josh.
That's very true, because I mean, Josh Gad is used everywhere now with Disney. They got him in the Tower of Terror. They got him on the Jungle Cruise. They got him in the documentary special on ABC. Like he's everywhere.
You know Josh D'Amaro. I mean, he recognized you in the parks. Maybe hey, pull your magic.
Hey, yeah, Josh. We know you're watching, man. I mean, as I said, I chased you all the way down Main Street just to get that selfie. Come on, help a fellow Italiano out, man.
That's what it is. It's the Italian connection. I never even thought about that before. Yeah. Oh, OG's laughing. You're going too, buddy. All right. Don't think it's just going to be, you're going to share. And then they're going to be really weird because, like, why are 3 dudes at a Santa dinner?
Yeah. Like, well, excuse me. Like, a group of guys can go and hang out at a cake bake shop, getting their photo taken with Santa. And he said, it looks like Neiman Marcus Santa.
It does look like Neiman Marcus Santa. Yeah. I think Santa's just like, he's like, I got to monetize this whole image I got going on here. So like, hey,
have something like that Santa in the World Showcase, like the holidays around the world kind of thing at Epcot?
Not quite as fancy, but they have like a Santa with like, I think he has like blue robes or something like that, because they do like they
have him like all too white. Like I need a pair of sunglasses just to like approach him. Like,
dude, I know.
Like,
and if it costs that much, how much are they paying that Santa? Because I feel like with the wording of the menu, it was like they came to marketing. They're like, all right, we got an idea here, but you got to really sell
that guy who's ever portraying Santa Claus. It was probably his idea, because he's probably like, I need to pay for my Medicare.
I got bills. Although this picture makes no sense. It's like an action shot of Santa. I don't know what he's doing there.
What is he doing?
I don't know. And then like he's fondling cakes as well. I don't know. And the thing is, like, I don't think you're actually eating with Santa. I think you just get a picture with him. So like, and I think somebody needs
for $200, he better be sitting next to me, like spoon feeding me the cake.
Dude, I'd be able to sit on his lap and whatever I ask for comes true. Like that. Here, I'm gonna get a better shot of Santa here as we end the show or the stream here. Look at that. Look at that fanciness right there. That is just some.
That is like.
OG says Dumbledore. He kind of does look like Dumbledore.
It looks like Sax at Christmas time.
It does, really. Rogue says the English one, I think, is green and white. That may be the one I was thinking of. I knew it was a different color than usual, but. Yeah. Well, anyways, that exists. If anybody wants to go have a $200 meal with Santa. Actually, with the tip, it would be like $250-ish, close to it. But you can't do it. We'll see. I'm very curious if anybody does it, what they think about it, because it seems very, very out there. But we are at 6:00 my time, and it is, hold on, 3:00 your time?
Yes.
I got the math right. All right. So we have a heart out here. I'm going to go inform my wife of the news that I'm going to have to ride a ride, and I was forced into it, and she's going to laugh at me for the rest of the evening. But before we go, George, let everybody know. First off, thank you for being here. And let everybody know where they can find you.
Absolutely. And thank you all in the chat. You guys make the lives happen, and not even just for supporting us and supporting Capture the Magic with the the $500 to ride whatever this ride is going to be. It's probably going to be Secret Life of Pets. That's probably what it's going to be.
I've never hoped more for just a moderate, like just an easygoing, chill ride.
But in any case, thank you all so much in the chat. Natasha, Xvoot, Falcon Shimmer, OG, Rogue Attraction. Who was the other? Stitch. What was it? Stitch.
Dennis Stitch.
Dennis Stitch. Yeah.
Xvoot, Dennis Stitch, or the Stitchy Dentist. Brian.
Stitchy Dentist. That's it. Yeah. Eric Stratton. Everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. But you can find me on social media at my YouTube channel, Hollow Gelato, where my fiance Abby and I got the scoops on all things theme parks, Disney, Universal, Knott's Berry Farm, Disney Cruise Line. We do a lot of in-park stuff. We do a lot of out-of-theater reactions. We do a lot of in-studio stuff like I am doing right now with Jared from Capture the Magic. So definitely go check us out over at Hollow Gelato, and also follow us on Instagram under Hollow Gelato as well. Which, if a lot of you are wondering what Hollow Gelato means, it's basically a fusion of both my Italian culture and Abby's Filipino culture. Halo is a dessert in the Philippines, and gelato obviously is Italian, and halo in Tagalog means mixing it up. So that's basically what our YouTube channel is. We basically have a plethora of many different content creations that we have going on over there. So Halo Gelato, definitely check us out.
Yes, go subscribe there, go check it out. And you can always catch George on Theme Parkin, and we're always over on OG or back and forth on Conductor's channel, all sorts of stuff like that. So it's always a good time. I appreciate you being here. And Brian told me not to hold my breath because it's not Secret Life of Pets. I know.
I tried to give you just a little bit of glimmer of hope. I knew it probably wasn't.
I know. All right. Well, I'm going to hop off here. Thank you, everybody, again, for the super chats, for the torture. Thank you, Eric Stratton, for becoming a member. Greatly appreciate that. And yeah, you guys are great. I appreciate it. And we will see you guys on the next one. And until then, have a great Thursday night. Have a great weekend. We don't see you before then. And we will see you guys later. Bye.
Take care, everyone.